So here the two palettes are, side by side, or next to each other. Pretty much the same size. Not a lot of difference in size, but big difference in shadow size in this palette. This one is the Revolution, Makeup Revolution London Reloaded Iconic Vitality palette. If you're a subscriber, you would have seen that I did a comparison the other day of the Division palette. Yes, Iconic Division, and that is a dupe for the Subculture palette by Anastasia. This one, which is the Iconic Vitality palette, is a dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette, so we're going to look at those today. I really do like, I mean, the packaging does not look expensive. I am not downing on the brand at all, but it is just plastic. But I do love that they've kept it quite classy. It's just got this nice clear lid, it's got a board around it, and it's got their name in the middle. It looks great. I prefer that they call themselves Revolution rather than Makeup Revolution. I think it's a bit classier. They don't need to say they're Makeup Revolution, we know it's makeup. So I really love Revolution. Yeah, because their makeup is revolutionary. Or it can be, particularly for people who are on a budget. Now, this is what the palette looks like. I have swatched this palette because I literally just could not wait. This palette is very pretty. It's got some nice warm tones in, it's got a couple of cool tones, but it's primarily warm. Again, in a Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, you get 14 shades. There are 15 in this palette, and your bonus shade is this black here, which is absolutely amazing. I am swatching today on my arm, and I'm actually using the Urban Decay Primer Potion. It's the original one, and that is my primer. I've put some on the back of my hand and on my arm because I might run out of room. This is the Revolution palette. And then this is the Modern Renaissance. Now, I have had this ages, but I really look after my stuff, so it's looking really nice. I try to have clean hands when I'm using it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I really just, you know, it's already got a couple of marks on it. I don't know if you can see. It's a felt consistency, so it is prone to kind of little marks and things. And this is what the palette actually looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. Love the colours in here. It's a really gorgeous palette, and to put them side by side or on top of each other, this is what you're looking at here. What I want to do is swatch this one first. This is what I did in the last video. I swatched them all with a gap in between, and then I put the Anastasia Beverly Hills ones in next. Now what I want to do is, when I stress the swatches, Revolution is on the left, Anastasia is on the right. So let's get started. I'm excited to swatch these for you because they are really, really pretty. So on the top row, got some nice muted shades. These are really lovely. These two shades are really gorgeous for the transition. We've got a nice shimmery shade. This is a base shade for me that I can put all over the lid, and this is quite an unusual shade. So you can see right away, pigmentation is absolutely amazing. Excuse the Batman onesie. So the first shade you can barely see because it's very much my skin tone. There's the second shade, kind of a mustardy sort of colour. It's really lovely. And then we have a nice shimmery colour here. Very much champagne. So that is the champagne shade. Again, very much near to my skin tone, so you're not going to see it too well. This is the Dusky Lilac shade. This is really pretty. I really love this shade. It's so nice in the crease. So I really appreciate that one, and that one's very pigmented. This brown shade at the end, which again is lovely. Very nicely pigmented. Got a nice bit of shimmer about it, and it's a really nice, soft, mildly warm. I wouldn't say it's not too red based, but that's a really pretty brown. So that's the first 5 shades. I should be able to fit the next 5 on here if I'm careful. So the next shade is this really amazing pink shade. And as you can see, though they do go on a little bit chunky and powdery, as soon as you blend it down, they blend out really beautifully, which I really appreciate. This one is super pigmented, and I think this one would look amazing all over the lid. I really love this shade. Then we've got this nice brown. I really love this one because this is a true cool tone brown, and I love this kind of shade. I really like that in the crease if you wanted to do a smoky eye and do something a little bit different from black. These shades are just, oh, I just live for these shades. Look at this brown. Beautiful, warm, almost mustardy sort of brown. Again, nice pigmentation. Not amazing, I will say. That one doesn't pull down quite so far, but it's still really nice and definitely buildable. This one is lovely as well. I think where this one has more of a yellow shade, this definitely takes on more of an orange shade, which is really, really pretty. And again, nice pigmentation. Not pigmentation the same as the pink one, but really, really decent. You can see it pulls right down there on the arm, so that's good. And they're not too powdery in this palette, which is in the Division one, there was a little bit of powderiness, not in this palette. So the last shade I'm going to have to go over on the back of my hand. You've got this really lovely gold. And that's what that one looks like. Very warm, kind of a brassy sort of gold, I would say. Then we'll go on and do these 4 shades here. I'll swatch the black separately. So I've got this one. This is a very sort of brick colour. You can see immediately that bit just very powdery, this. Look at the bits falling on my hand. This one's very powdery. You can even see that kickback there. But this colour, so worth it. Look at that. It's so pretty. Perfect brick shade. It's absolutely gorgeous. The next one, this really nice pink. Look at the pigmentation on that. That is crazy. The pinks in this palette will not let you down. They are really beautiful. Got a nice sort of browny bone shade. This would be probably quite a nice contour shade if you went enough light enough hand with it. But again, nice pigmentation. And then the last one here is this peach shade, which again, deep dark, dusty sort of peach shade, really beautiful. And then I'm going to take this black. I'm going to put it on a part of my hand where there's no primer. Look at that black. That is crazy. The black in this palette will not let you down. Beautiful. I personally love that the additional shadow in each of these palettes is a black. This means that this palette is very travelable for me, because I like a black shadow, sometimes just as a liner, sometimes under the lower lash line, and just to like sort of smudge out a little bit when I've used liner in the waterline, like a black liner in the waterline. Sometimes I like a bit of shadow underneath the lash line, and I'd like to use powder for that, just because it gives a soft, smudgier effect. As I said, great for liner, so I find that I could do an eye look and then I would still have a liner in here, as well as being able to create a black smoky eye as well. And I think that this shade would probably work quite nicely as a contour, so I think this is really quite a complete palette. So we're going to set that aside for a moment. And we're going to move over to Modern Renaissance. Ooh, controversial. Now this is unusual. What I'm seeing here is that these 5 in a row are actually these 5. Then moving on to the next row, these 2 are here. Did you see that? These 2 are here. Moving on, these 3 are these 3 here. And then these 4 are those 4 there. So this is actually in order. Now when you look at this Division palette, this one is not. It's not the same. What makes it different is the first 4 are in order, so you can see those 4. But then they've put this taupe colour at the corner, and they've missed that burgundy shade. And they've chose to put those 2 colours together on the next line down. And then you've got these 3, which are in order here. And then they've kind of split these up again. So you've got these 2 colours here are split by the green, whereas those 2 colours are together followed by the green. So they've kind of changed up the order a little bit with the Division palette in comparison to the Subculture. But as far as the Modern Renaissance is gone with Vitality, they've kept the lineup exactly the same. That's quite interesting that they've done that. Anyway, this palette is well used. I mean, it's covered in powder up here and stuff, and you can't see how bad it's, well, you can see how bad these 2 are, but I do use it quite a bit, and I just find that these shadows, they're just amazing. You don't need a lot, so a little goes a long way, so that's why it probably doesn't look so used. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the shade, the bone sort of shade, or the ivory shade in the Anastasia Beverly Hills is a lot more pigmented, and it's a true ivory, whereas this is kind of a yellow ivory. This is more of kind of a face powder sort of colour, whereas this is definitely an ivory. It's quite bright, and you could use that on the inner eye or on the brow bone as a highlight if that was what you like to do, whereas you couldn't probably do that, or I couldn't do that with my skin tone with the other one. So I definitely prefer that one in the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the next shade. These are quite different. I like them both, and I'll be honest there. I think that the Anastasia Beverly Hills one here is a cooler toned yellow. This definitely has some orange to it. They're both as pigmented as each other, and they're both slightly different colours. I do prefer the Anastasia Beverly Hills one because I'm more of a cool toned girl, but if you were more of a warm toned girl, you're going to prefer the Revolution one much better. So this champagne shade, now I love this. This has got quite a dent in it in my palette because I wear it quite a bit. Again, there is a difference here in colour. I didn't think there was going to be. This one's more of a peachy colour. This one's more of a true champagne. I hope you can see the difference in the colours there. So this is more of a flesh tone sort of colour, or my sort of flesh tone. So that pinky nudie sort of colour, not champagne, pinky nudie frost. Whereas that is definitely shown up a lot brighter. That would be my brow bone highlight or inner eye highlight. I absolutely love the shade. I actually like it in the centre of the eye as a halo eye as well, and I do wear it that way. But again, if you're a bit more of a cool tone girl, Anastasia Beverly Hills, more warm tone girl, you're going to prefer Revolution because they are quite different. The next one is this colour. I love this colour. But in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, again, there is the difference there. So the Anastasia Beverly Hills is a true lilac. Again, it is a cooler toned shade. It is definitely leaning more to that lilac shade, that dusty lilac. This is more of a dusty rose. So this one's kind of a pink shade with a little bit more warmth. The Anastasia Beverly Hills is definitely cooler. So again, that depends if you prefer cooler or warmer shades. This is kind of a variant really. It's coming off as the Revolution is the warmer sister of the Modern Renaissance palette, which is quite interesting. The next shade is this lovely brown. And they are different again. But that one seems to have lost, I don't know if you're noticing that, that's lost some of its shimmer. I haven't done anything or gone anywhere, so I'm going to re-swatch the Revolution one. So side by side you can see again there's a difference here. The one in Revolution's actually a darker shade, and I don't mind. I love both colours, to be fair. This kind of leans to more of a warmer sort of lighter copper brown, and that's definitely a warmer, more red tone sort of brown. They're both lovely colours. Again, that just is a preference thing, but they are different. Okay, the two pinks side by side. I actually prefer the Makeup Revolution one here, but this is a little bit different. If you prefer a more muted pink, or you want a more of a muted magenta, you're going to prefer Anastasia Beverly Hills. If you want something that's brighter, then you're going to prefer the Revolution one, and I actually really love this bright pink. It's really beautiful. I think that would be amazing in the crease, and this magenta one is nice. I don't reach for it, if I'm honest, though, that much. It is lovely if you're going to do a darker smoky eye. I do love it with like the darker brown and the darker coral, but it's not something I reach for massively. So yeah, the next one is the brown. Not a lot of difference between these two. This feels like it's more grey toned. Don't know, I mean there is a difference, I don't know if you can see, very slightly. It just feels like this is kind of a browner brown, if that makes sense. It's definitely got, this one's just got a bit, I think, just a hint of warmth, and that's more cool. Both nice colours. The next one. Okay. Well, that one, those are incredibly close. You'd be hard pressed to tell them apart, and in all honesty, the Revolution one is probably a bit more pigmented than the Anastasia one. But those colours are virtually identical. And then the last one on there is this more orangey shade. That one, again, very similar, if I'm honest. I think those colours are very similar. The only difference is that the Anastasia one is more pigmented. But maybe if we built the Revolution one up. There you go. So with another layer of Revolution, those are pretty much identical in person. So those two shades there, there's nothing in it. Very little in that. So that's actually really good. Now we're going to move on to the rest of them. Now we've got this gold. The one in the Anastasia is so stunning, I cannot tell you. But there you are, side by side. I prefer the Anastasia one just because it's a true gold, whereas this one definitely has more yellow to it, and I'm not a massive yellow gold fan. It's definitely a warmer gold. Again, that's preference. More of a standard cooler toned, much more of a warmer gold. So it's what you prefer. The next one is this brick shade. you would think that that was the swatch of one shadow. Those are identical. This is slightly more pigmented, but not massively more, because if you remember, this one was quite pigmented and powdery and flaky. Those are identical. That is an amazing job by Makeup Revolution. Then we're going to move on to this pink. Wow. Again, they have really pulled it out of the bag there. This is a hint pinker than this one, but to be honest, if we blend it together, there's no difference there. You would just think that that was a swatch of one colour. Those two are amazing jobs. Moving on to the next. I'm not sure how this one's going to come out because it's just looking like it's going to be quite different. Yeah, there is a difference there. It's not huge. It's in the same sort of family in that it's kind of a lighter sort of taupe shade, which is really great for doing work in the crease. It's just that the one in the Revolution palette is a hint warmer, and I actually prefer the Revolution one, and I think I could use that one as a contour shade, whereas that I wouldn't get away with because of the colour of it. It's lighter. That's definitely more of a contour shade sort of colour, which is why I think it would be great in the crease. So they're similar, but they're not the same. And for me, the Revolution one there is the winner. And then the last one, which again, I love this shade in this palette, is this coral shade. And yeah, those are pretty much identical. If I just cover that down the middle, yeah, just look at that. That is like looking at the same shadow. So there you've got the golds are very similar. The browns are not too far away from each other, and those three colours are just identical. So that's 5. These 3 are really great. Very little difference here. These are close. These are quite different. Moving on to the last few. Overall, pretty amazing. So those are really excellent.